Hey and welcome to episode 2 of the IE Media podcast, where I'll be interviewing a variety of guests who want to share their stories that will hopefully be an inspiration to the many out there for the years to come. The show was exclusive to YouTube, but I'm glad to announce that it can now be found on the various apps out there, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you are listening back to this via a podcasting app, you can head over to my YouTube channel for my other types of content and to see the video version of this podcast and more. That's IE Media, I.E space media. Today I have another special guest and friend, Wicked MC, top dad and all-round lyrical bad boy, Robbie MC from Bolton. He's been involved in the music scene for over 25 years and has performed a ton of gigs covering multiple genres, including bounce, hardcore, drum and bass, and hip-hop. He's previously founded and managed a youth and community creative arts project to provide free music workshops for disadvantaged young children who are at risk of social exclusion, and he's also just released his first book, but we'll get more into that later on in the show. Things haven't always been easy for Robbie, and we have a lot of ground to cover. So thanks for coming on the show, mate. How's it going?
It's absolutely amazing, mate. Thank you very much for keeping me involved in what you've been doing. Big ups to everything on the elusive exposure media.
Cheers,
it's absolutely amazing to see how you started this idea years ago with what you were going to do to actually now seeing it taking off, and that you're bringing guests in to interview people. I'm honoured to be part of it. You know, in the respect of where you're going, the kind of things that you're covering. A massive thank you for the introduction there.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. Thank you for joining the show. It is a pleasure to have you on, mate. Known you for quite a while now.
Yeah, man. What is it, going back over 20 years?
I think it was 2007-ish.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's getting up there.
Yeah,
definitely. Man. Yeah, I remember just a little brief thing before we get into the show, but I was hosting a night back end of 2007. And yeah, we had different DJs and MCs prepared for the night. And you actually came with a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
Didn't actually know you. And wow, you just came, and I think one of the other MCs like, "Oh, you MC? Yeah, have a go. Come on, take the mic." And he just dominated all night. And it was
what
awesome.
Started off as just like, "Yeah, do you want a quick go for 5 minutes?" Ended up being on all night. Yeah,
yeah.
And then the rest is history, as they say.
Definitely, and here we are today. So, I think we should get into a bit more about you and what led you into this musical journey of over 25 years. And to give the listeners, all the viewers, a bit of an insight into who you are and your journey and where it all began.
Well, my name's Rob Stevenson, a.k.a. Robbie MC from Bolton. I've been into the music scene through raving when I was 16. I started going to events like Club Kinetic, Doncaster Warehouse, Bowlers, big festivals like Helter Skelter, Die Hard, Dreamscape and events like that, and basically watching DJs on the stage used to blow my mind, seeing the kind of vibe that they bring to the ravers. But the MCs really caught my mind. They really caught my attention. To see how you've got mixtures of hosts who can be introducing the acts and hyping the crowd, to the wingmen, to the ones who work kind of like back to back with the MCs, hyping up their bars and continuing, so they get like a flow going. And then you've got the way that they work together consistently. It's to watch is amazing, but then to actually get involved yourself is another. One of the first MCs that I ever really listened to was the original Detonator, Robbie D.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Robbie D, hats off to me, was the one that I used to listen to every day religiously on a tape called Obsession. Wow. And that was with DJ Easy Groove and Robbie D. Their kind of music was like fast-paced jungle techno, and he would do catchy little rhymes that had hype the crowd, and tell a little joke in between. So I thought, one of these days I'm going to start trying to learn how to do that sort of thing. Then I started going to Doncaster Warehouse, and down there they had 7 MCs, who would literally stand on stage and they'd drop 16 bars each, 21 seconds worth of lyrics each.
Yeah. And
just keep it going consistently. 2 MCs that always stood out to me, my true inspirations, are Marcus and Nats. I used to stand there and just blown away with the hype, the energy, the the lyrics that they brought to the stage, the way that they hyped the ravers and everybody knew the bars. And I'm not going to lie, they were the people who I used to follow when I was a kid. And I used to play their tapes religiously. So Robbie D, Marcus, Nats, and I used to go over their lyrics and learn them. So I could not copy them, but learn about them, the rhythm of MCing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And bit by bit, I started to change their lyrics and adapt my own. And I started to realise, you know what, I can actually do this, you know?
Yeah.
And it was a case of, then I'd start putting pen to paper. In the beginning, I was shocking. I'm not going to lie, mate.
Yeah.
I was looking, I've recently moved into my own apartment with my son. And when we were moving, I found a box with all my old content in there.
Yeah.
And to look back at how I used to write, it was just scatty. It was just crazy. It was all misdirected. I didn't have a clue where I was going with it because I didn't have an understanding of MCing. It was just, I used to think it was a case of chatting fast over a beat, but it wasn't. And it was only a case of when you start to understand about structuring, direction, and what MCing is about.
Yeah.
In terms of like a rapper will tell a story, an MC will tell a story but on a faster pace. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got to have your rhythm. You've got to have your timing in order to be able to clearly project what you're trying to say. So over the years, I've MC'd to bounce, I've MC'd to hardcore, drum and bass, and rap to hip hop.
Yeah.
Using the format of understanding of bars and timing. And what I found when I started to become more experienced was you can sort of write to one style and use the lyrics to another. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, and change it up a bit.
Yeah, for those who don't know what I mean, I'm saying I'd write a 16-bar lyric to hardcore, 4 verses, and go at a certain rhythm, right? But then I'd find a drum and bass track, and I'd use the same lyrics that I've wrote to hardcore and drop on the D&B.
Yeah,
and just by switching the flow up
similar speeds as well.
Yeah, and then you can sort of adapt it a little bit, maybe shorten or extend to drop it on hip-hop. Yeah. Because it's all about, if you've got something to say, you can say it as long as you keep it in time.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, that's what makes you a genuine MC, really, isn't it? How you can adapt to the different beats. And
yeah.
You're forward thinking and, there's a singy bit coming up here.
You've got to know your timing, right?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, when I'm first starting out, there'd be a few times, like, you go to an event and when you get put on the first time, you're nervous. Yeah. So you might have a drink or something like that to keep yourself with the party vibe. And then a vocal will kick in. You know, you'll be in the middle of spitting a lyric and then a vocal will kick in and you'll be like, oh.
Yeah.
You've got to stop. Because rule number 1 is you don't MC over the vocals, right?
Or a DJ scratching.
Or a DJ scratching. There's certain points where you've got to be aware of when to start and when to stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all about that timing and respect and communication with your DJing.
Yeah.
But obviously, from the writing to the performing, that side of things, it kind of really inspired me to want to work with other people, you know, with other artists and to find community projects where I could go down in the music scene to try and find ways of literally working with the younger generation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'll get to that more later on in the interview.
Yeah. So what was your first big gig and how was that feeling once you got on and played in front of a crowd? Going
back in the day, for me, I used to listen to Bounce back in 2001 to 2002. When I came back from Blackpool, I was living up there for a couple of years, and I found out about a club called Cricketer.
Oh, right, Wigan.
Yeah, and from going to Wigan Pier to Maxime's to seeing Cricketers, which was strictly more about the MCing, I used to ask the promoters, how do I get on here? And like nobody knew me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because before I was called Robbie, I used to call myself RS.
Okay.
When I was living in Blackpool, and I was trying to break through into the hardcore scene on pirate radio shows and things like that. Cool. So I was getting a bit of a name for myself up there. But when I came to Bolton, I bumped into an MC who everybody knows called Wizard. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wizard MC. And he asked me one time what my MC name was. He said, you'll only be remembered in this game for your name. Yeah. And I was like, well, it's RS. And he went, but what's your name? I went, Robbie. He went, well, now you're known as Robbie MC.
Cool, right? Cool.
Or MC Robbie. He said, think about it, yeah? He said, go and ask the promoter, can you get on? But tell him that your name's Robbie MC. See what they say.
Yeah.
And it was Gary Selects from an event called Meltdown who let me have a go at Cricketer. So to get on there, after watching the likes of FEZ, Avi, Irie, Wizard, you know, the originals of the bounce and Italian dance scene.
Yeah.
To be given that opportunity really showed me, you know what, it's not beyond your reach. You know, the tapes that I used to listen to as I was growing up, yeah, and really get inspiration off. And these tapes were hot. You know what I'm saying? It got to the point where I'd be like, I want to do that one day.
Yeah.
But how do I get in there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like Wizard said that time, all you got to do is go and ask. Introduce yourself. They'll give you a shot. If you're any good, you'll get to stay on. If you're not, you won't. End of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they literally give me a couple of weeks for me to go down. Then there was an event in Bolton called Fluid, a club called Fluid. And there was a group called Rhythm FX.
Oh, yeah.
They made a track called Put You in a Trance.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, actually, the lad from Bolton, because when I crossed over from using Reason in my early days of production and then started to use Cubase, I used to open it and be like, I didn't have a clue, and there wasn't a lot of stuff on YouTube back then. And I was actually seeking out some tuition for Cubase, and that's the lad who I ended up. Yeah,
Chad and Terry.
I'm not sure it was one of them. Yeah. Used to go to his house. I had about three hours.
Did he live in West Arton?
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Chadwick. Yeah, Chaddy.
Yeah, really good though. He taught me a lot of the basics with Cubase and stuff, just to do how to start tracks.
Well, I remember, funny story, right? I went down to Fluid, yeah, and I said to him, one of the MCs hasn't turned up tonight.
Yeah.
FEZ sent me. He hadn't really. Yeah. And he said, so he sent you. Why? I said, to cover him. Bear in mind, he was actually on his way down. It was just a joke thing. Yeah. He went,
no way.
All right, then no worries, jump on. You got 5 minutes. Yeah. He said, if you're any good, you can stay on.
No way.
He said, but if you're not, you're gone and you won't be performing here again. Trust me. So I'm thinking, what do I do? Got on the mic, chucked a few oggies in. And before I knew it, I went to walk off past him the mic. He went, no, you're staying on, mate.
No way.
So it was like, from there, then I started to get a liking for the bounce scene, the dance scene, yeah?
Yeah.
And then I found out about a local youth project called Harmony.
Oh, right,
Harmony
yeah.
Youth Project, yeah? That they were looking for volunteers. And obviously, due to my getting into the scene, from having an interest to actually finding a way in, I went down and had a chat with the manager, Charlie V, introduced myself as somebody who wants to work with kids, teaching them how to write lyrics. And what he said was, the difference here to MCing in the club scene is we're working with disadvantaged and deprived children. You know, some of these kids, they've been through a lot, they've seen a lot, and they're at the risk of social exclusion. You know, what we need is somebody who's older, who can be a bit active in the scene, to sort of come down, sit down with these kids, put pen to paper, and get them to get their thoughts and feelings down as to what they're going through, maybe what they've seen.
It's kind of a therapy as well,
in a way,
isn't it?
yeah. Therapy through music, TTM, yeah.
Oh, right, wow.
And literally, you get them to work on a piece of music, to write what's on the mind, and before you know it, they're then going to want to show this to the next person, i.e. a youth worker. You know, do you think you could do that? So obviously I went down, spent a couple of weeks working with a group of kids from a project called the ACE Project, who were from Wigan.
Yeah.
Ashton, sorry. And we made a short film about knife crime called Knife Crime.
Oh, wow.
And in that film, I played an ex-gang leader whose younger brother had a problem with a new kid in town, because this new kid had made a beeline for his girlfriend.
Ah.
And he came to me telling me that there was an issue because he took this lad in as a friend.
Yeah.
And he's gone behind his back and got off with his girlfriend. So me being of that, the character I was playing of that mindset was to, well, don't let him get away with doing that.
Mm.
Go and deal with it like this, and then pass him a knife. You understand what I mean? Yeah. So it was kind of like influencing knife crime. But the message in the film was about the dangers of knife crime.
Yeah, and the damage and stuff.
Yeah. And when we got up to that part, we stopped filming because we knew it was going to be seen as really, really serious. This, so then we started to write music tracks about knife crime. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which would then go with the film, and it started to show that there was a lot more of a serious side to MCing. Yeah, from the getting the message across in what you're saying to opening people's minds, and to then introducing music into it and rapping, telling a story about the impact.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So being able to then use the creative writing and performing skills, teaching young people how to do that, and then getting them to work on music videos as well as a film, blew my mind.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because it showed that in one respect, MCing can lead you to getting into the club scene, can lead to getting you on a record label, can lead to getting your name in the lights, big events, festivals, things like that, the entertainment side.
Yeah.
But on a realist level, it can also help you reach people. Because I'm a great believer in when you drop your lyrics, the aim is to reach people. It's like we're talking to one another now, yeah?
Yeah.
The aim is for us to speak to each other so we can relate, and for the people that watch this to be able to relate, yeah?
Yeah.
Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, once you sort of get feedback from people that you're actually talking about something sensible and they can feel it, there's nothing better from an MC's perspective than when people come up to you and say, everything that you say is so clear. Yeah, I fully feel it. But in the club scene, somebody will come up to you who's half cut and they'll say, mate, that set you've just done there was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, what part of it did you like? Oh, I can't remember any of it, but it was all good anyway. Do you know what I mean? You're like, all right, nice one. Cheers, pal, yeah. But, you know, it's if one thing that it's taught me, it's variable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? On what you can do with MCing.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. I think there is different styles, isn't there? And there's different MCs that have a different sort of category that they prefer to go down. But that's why I've always preferred your kind of lyrics and a number of other artists out there that I follow. Because like you said, it does make you think, it opens the mind, and you're portraying a good message. Yeah. It's positive and stuff. And I think you listen to the lyrics in the charts these days, and we've kind of gone away from that, haven't we?
Yeah,
it's gone a bit crazy.
Glamour.
Yeah, it's all about what you've got and making a show and all that kind of stuff.
Ego driven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But no, I appreciate artists like yourself that are...
No, I respect that, mate. Nice
doing
one.
That.
One thing that I would like to say while I've got this opportunity is, as well as working at places like Cricketers, a massive part of my MCing career is down to my man, MC Dukins, who runs Bonanza Raves. I'm like co-founder of the organisation. But this guy single-handedly goes out of his way to help artists, from new talent to people that are making ways, to bring together, to get artists from who are pretty much not known in the scene to literally working with A-listers. You know, This guy has got me on with the likes of Stu Allen, who I used to listen to religiously when I was a kid. You know,
my big bro back in the day did too. Used to tape it.
In it, DJ Sai. There's that many, mate. Seriously, the way that the guys work with me, he was the co-founder of Insight as well back in the day. Yeah, we used to brainstorm ideas of who we're going to have on, and he actually brought down for me, which I'll never forget, Robbie D.
Wow.
Yeah. So how I was saying that back in '96, I first started going raving and listening to Robbie D. I used to listen to him on tape, but never would have expected that one day I'd be MCing with him, let alone for him.
Yeah.
Until Dukins got him down to a Bonanza charity live stream.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And that sticks with me forever. You know what I mean? Also as well, G-Star Promotions give me the opportunity to host Darren Styles' set. Yeah, at Pure Nightclub in Wigan.
Wow.
To me,
big name,
mate. That was like when I was a kid, I used to listen to Force and Styles. Yeah, the happy hardcore.
Yeah.
DJs,
Was there a Breeze and Styles?
Breeze and Styles, yeah, but it was literally DJ Force and Styles. Yeah, DJ Force and Darren Styles.
Yeah.
And Night Force Records, yeah. Them two were leading the way with tunes like Pretty Green Eyes, Hearts of Gold.
Classic, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
And to know that they've graced the stage with the likes of MC Junior, R.I.P., the likes of MC Storm, WizKid, all the top artists, only the top artists would get to play with them.
Yeah.
And then eventually, years down the line, you're given an opportunity of being in the right place at the right time. It was my daughter who was stood backstage at Blackpool Festival who got chatting to G. Yeah.
Wow.
She asked him for a cigarette. He didn't have one. And then he turned around to her and said, I'm looking for an MC.
No way.
For one of my events called Hardliners. Right? She said, yeah, but Dad's an MC now. Because I was backstage, he thought I was part of...
Okay.
Me being me, I kind of swung it and I just said, I'm not performing it, but I'm an MC. Watch the event. And he said, Hardliners. And he said, you'll be literally hosting DJ Kutsky, Mark E.G.,
Wow.
Darren Styles, and 6 other DJs from Wigan and the surrounding area.
Whoa.
On your own all night. Do you feel that you could do that? I went, mate, give me your number. I went to Turkey for 2 weeks.
Did it?
Yeah, came back. 2 days after I'd been back from Turkey, I was straight down to Pure Nightclub on my own, and I did that.
Wow.
Mate, honestly.
What was that feeling like?
Unbelievable. The elation of 1 minute I'm on MCing for DJ Kutsky on a happy hardcore set meets like Gabba set, completely off the cuff, yeah. All eras set, to then looking around and seeing Darren Styles waiting. It was like, wow.
Yeah.
This guy's a legend, right? Couldn't have met a nicer guy. You know, and the way that I worked with him, he was where I was at my A game. In terms of, you watch, from an MC's point of view, you watch when the DJ's signalling.
Yeah.
When you've got to start, when you've got to stop.
Yeah.
When the vocals are going to come in to give you a signal. But with that guy, I just knew his tunes, so
yeah,
knew when to shut up.
Yeah. There's a really, really good combination of it.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, so from there, did you just keep getting more gigs? And
I'd say in 2013 to 2015, that was my peak.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, mate. In terms of the artists that I was working with, they weren't all A-listers. You know, you have to work your way in.
Of course,
but
yeah.
2013 to 15, if I look back on my social media, they were my peak times.
Yeah.
I was out every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, every week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sort of like it started really from about 2009 up until, say, 2014. So I had a good 5 years of performing in different clubs, you know?
Yeah.
And then it kind of like, obviously having my son, getting more, you're not able to invest as much time into the scene.
Yeah. Yeah. You know? Gaz, it was on the episode 1, he was saying the same thing. That,
it's true, as you know, yeah.
When you have your kids, you have to back off the scene for a little bit, but it'll always be within you.
That's
and you'll
the thing.
always revive
I've got to
yourself.
say, I wouldn't change it for the world, and I love you more than life, Caden. Yeah, my son, Caden Lee, and Chloe as well. You know, my daughter. Life is what you make it.
Yeah.
You've got to be willing to sacrifice and make time for your family, because the music industry will always be there, right?
Yeah.
And too much of a good thing can become a bad thing. You know, hats off and respect to all the artists that are out there week in, week out, smashing it.
Yeah, it's been a tough couple of years for the scene.
Yeah, and the ones that can literally commit, who've not got kids, big up to you all, right? But when you end up having children, yeah, you'll see that you can't commit as much as you used to be able to.
Yeah.
Even though it's a job, I'm a true believer in too much of a good thing can become a bad thing, because even though it is work when you're on that stage, yeah, when you work too much work can make you a dull man.
Yeah.
And I've seen it happen with some of the top guys, right? They were
burnt out.
Yeah, they're on 3 to 4 gigs a weekend.
Yeah.
The money's amazing. The atmosphere's brilliant. The vibe that they create is amazing. But you can sort of see in them that they're not giving it 100.
Yeah.
Like you take a top tier MC and put them on at a festival once a year and take away all the weekly bookings, and they're going to blow up.
Yeah.
Why? Why do you think they're going to blow up? because everybody's hyped and waiting to see him, innit?
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think things will pick up again in the scene.
Yeah.
And there'll be a lot of nights happening again. I think.
Yeah.
This summer's going to be pretty good. I think for the ravers.
Oh yeah,
getting back in the scene.
The festivals are starting to come back in, mate. Yeah. It's looking good.
With this sort of art of music, I find it's always a progression. So you're never the same artist you was 5 years ago.
No, you're always evolving, aren't you?
Constantly. And you've been doing a bit more on the hip-hop side. And yeah, it's only a matter of time, mate, before a couple of them tracks blow.
I hope so. You know, it's a case of trying different styles. Yeah. If there's one thing that's in me, it's to evolve. Yeah. I'm like a star that tries to shine brighter with every time that I blow. Every time I glow, I just want to blow further.
Yeah.
And it's mad because you can spend so much time on trying to write. Yeah. As you're a producer, you'll know when you're writing your beats.
Yeah.
You'll listen to that same rhythm for 6 hours.
Yeah.
Just to know that there's a certain little thing that you're not quite right with. It's like that when you're writing lyrics, yeah? You can overdo it, can't you? Yeah, you can overthink.
Then all of a sudden you don't like it anymore.
You hit burnout.
Yeah.
Yeah. The key is, I think, if you're going to try something new, to write a little bit, and try something with it, keeping in your mind where it is that you started from. What was your route? Which my route was to tell a story.
Yeah.
To get a positive message across, to reach people. And I'm not about views. I'm not about pushing myself to get signed to a label. No. You know, that's not in my focus. Yeah. I'm a realist, you know. If that was to happen, it would have happened a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not putting a dampener on myself, you know. But as I'm getting older, I'm slowing down with regards to the want and desire to be in the club scene as much. Yeah. I'm more now about what I put out. I'll only put something out every now and again when it's true content. Like in the lockdown, obviously the major issue was COVID-19. The media was spinning it, yeah, and everybody was getting locked into and manipulated by the headlines.
Yeah.
You know, I literally started to find that the mainstream media was twisting people's minds, yeah, and indoctrinating us with what we're supposed to believe. There's that famous saying, isn't there? The media only tells us what they want us to know. But in reality, when you think about it, we only perceive what we believe is true. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's the same. It's a catch-22. Me personally, I step away from it all. Don't listen to the mainstream media. Come up with my own theories. Some may call it conspiracy theories, but I don't believe that because everybody's entitled to their own way of thinking. Free thinkers.
Yeah.
Which the media might not like and the government might not like. Do you know what I mean? But when I wrote a track called Imagine, which was highlighting my thoughts, I uploaded it to Mixcloud and it got banned. It got took down, right? And then it got took down again. But it got took down because in the description I mentioned the word COVID-19.
Ah, okay.
So I was told by one of my friends who's he's like a media specialist on how to speak with regards to what's accepted and how you can put things out. He said, just take that word out and put, this is my thoughts and views as a disclosure, to literally say what I think. It's not designed to incite a riot or create uproar. It's just me expressing myself.
Yeah.
Please feel free to like, comment and share, right?
Yeah.
And before I know it, 350 likes later, yeah? Like I said, not about the views, but not one dislike. Yeah? And everybody that was listening to it kept saying to me, wow, that's actually true what you're saying.
Yeah.
And in that, I wrote hip-hop style lyrics. I dropped it to D&B.
Yeah, okay.
And I want to say a massive shout out to DJ Toll, yeah, from Birmingham, who Dukins calls my pre-developed brother, yeah. He made the drum and bass beat, right, that I'd already wrote to. As soon as he sent me this beat, I just knew it was going to go. I took a sample of Boris Johnson's speech from Christmas, sent it to him. We chopped it up, put it together with my lyrics in, which I recorded on a bedroom studio setup.
Oh, right.
And within a couple of days, it was together. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whacked it on YouTube. Everything's good. You know what I mean? And we put pictures from the BBC's website and CNN's website to back it up.
Yeah.
So I thought the reason I've done that is not only is it helping to get the message across for people who can't keep up with the lyrics,
Yeah.
but it's allowing them to see what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
Visualize it.
Yeah. And if it is that they would have been taken down because of that, then my argument would have been with the mainstream media. Why are you taking down what's physically and visually available on your sites?
Yeah, I've noticed that as well.
Right. So once I put that one up, I got a lot of good feedback, right? And then I thought to myself, right, 2021, people were starting to wake up a bit more about the corruption and the twisting of the way the media is working towards people. And they were starting to wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I came up with the name of a track called We Need to Stand Up, right? I left it about 6 months until I even put anything out in that kind of a level.
Yeah.
Yeah. And We Need to Stand Up was me trying to say to people, don't be manipulated anymore.
Yeah.
Don't be indoctrinated by a system that's designed to sell adverts. Yeah. To influence what you think, to brainwash you. Yeah. Stand up for your own rights and your own way of thinking. Because if you don't, then you're forever going to be a sheep. Mm-hmm. Do you understand what I mean?
A prisoner in your own mind.
Exactly right, yeah. That track, both of them tracks, Imagine and We Need to Stand Up, are available on YouTube, on Robbie MC page. But to get the full track for We Need to Stand Up, if you go on Robbie MC bandcamp.com, it was the first track that I actually put up for sale. Once again, this time that was made by a DJ, a producer called Deathmatic, yeah. A young lad from Bolton, who's an amazing producer. Sincerely, I've worked with some guys in the past, right? But this guy's got the Midas touch with the beats. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like he's multi-genre. But I said to him, can you please send me something here that'll fit this message? And within 2 days, he sent me something back. And for me to go from sort of one style of D&B to another was one thing, but to actually click with this producer, it clicked straight away, right? That's when I knew I'd met the right person. So I had DJ Toll and Deathmatic. And basically when I went to Collective Studios in Bolton and worked with my good man Bam on putting together the actual track for We Need to Stand Up. We went through all the recording process and ensuring that it was bang on. I did a photo shoot for it, a little promotional video. And I thought, you know what, I'm starting to see how a label would work here. So when people were saying to me, why have you not gone down the route of getting involved with labels? I thought, because labels make money off you.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? I don't want to be tied or contracted to somebody and have to work within their rules. Yeah. Because one thing that you find when you're on a label, you can't be free. They have an agenda with how they want you to be. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So whereas when you're an independent freelance artist, you can do what you want when you want. Yeah. And there's no holds barred, right? Yeah, I follow a few independent artists it really is the best way to be. Across the pond. And unless you've got something that's really popping off and your style is something mind-blowingly sick, yeah, you're not going to make $1 million. You're not going to you might get 100,000 views if you're consistent. But me personally, I'm like, I want to just put something out every now and again that shows me as an artist that I'm still able to put something out and it's substance-based as opposed to quantity over quality. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, well, you're doing well, mate. You just got to keep doing it. Appreciate that, bro. Definitely. And yourself as well. Thank you. Yeah. Only recently starting to believe in myself in terms of production and stuff like that. You are absolutely sick. Oh. Yeah. Without a doubt, mate. Seriously, the level that you've got from hearing your music, the melodies that you can create, the way that you bring your music together, I can close my eyes and spit lyrics. I remember not so long ago we were talking about making something government-based. Yeah. Yeah? Yeah. And due to the fact that you were setting all this up, I could see that, and I was involved in other projects as well. We weren't both ready at the time.
No.
But I wrote my bars, practiced them over your beat.
Yeah.
And the way that you connect it is there again. How I connected with DJ Toll, connected with Deathmatic, we will connect. So it's just about when.
Yeah, of course.
And everything that you're doing now, like, you've got yourself set and it can only become bigger.
Yeah, hopefully, mate. Definitely going to try and put the work in.
One more time, big up to yourself on all the work that you've been putting in behind the scene. Yeah, on, getting everything set up through Spotify.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Apple, getting it on all the major platforms. You know what I mean? So it's not just on one platform. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, because I have had a few issues with YouTube in the past.
As you will do, mate,
This is my third rodeo. So that's why I'm not commenting too much on what you were talking about before, because I don't want, just because I've, think a certain way about something, to then lose all opportunities of a future in what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I don't find that fair, really, to be told you can't have a voice anymore because you shared a certain opinion. Yeah. So
hence the term, the government don't like free thinkers. Yeah. The media don't like free thinkers.
Yeah.
Social media, right? They have to accept, free thinkers. Because if it wasn't for free thinkers, people wouldn't create freely. Yeah. And what do we need more than anything as artists? A platform to create and to show. Yeah. So at certain points, as long as you're not going completely off the scale and slating everybody and, firing shots too much, if you're speaking with a genuine point, then there's nothing that can be said to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
And as long as, like, when I was at university, I used to find in the assignments, they used to say, in order for you to put any facts in your assignment as evidence, you have to evidence where you've got it from. You have to cite it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And when you can do that, then you can prove there's a point to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just chatting theory and conspiracies and all kinds of things about the government and about the media, then sooner or later people will just switch off thinking,
of course,
what's this guy on about or what's she on about? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and there is a lot of crap out there as well to dilute it and muddy the waters and stuff. But yeah, I mean, when I used to be part of the show, won't mention any names, that I used to co-host for like nearly 5 years, I used to do all the research. So if there was topics we were going to talk about, I'd spend like all day pretty much leading up to the show each evening, researching it and finding out who said that and who owns that company and how does that tie to that one. And I'd go really deep on it because I used to hate it when people, in the early days of alternative media, people used to share information and then I'd share it and run with it. Find out a day or two later, oh, it's fake that, mate. Yeah, someone made it up. Look at this and look at that. And then you have to do a retraction, apologise and stuff. So I'd be like, no, I'm not getting caught out again. I look into things. But the more you look into things and actually start tying names, and it's like, wow. Yeah.
It can be like a rabbit hole.
Yeah, it can.
It can be like the Matrix.
But I just felt eventually like I was just preaching to the choir, and only people that was of that way of thinking were listening anyway.
Yeah.
And then I was just zapping myself of all my creativity in my music and plans I wanted to do. So it's set me back a good decade or so, really.
Respect to you though, right? Because it's what you were thinking of at the time.
Yeah.
We all go through phases, right?
Yeah, of course.
Where 1 minute we can want to do one thing, so we follow it and go as far as we can with it. And then we sidestep and do something else. So it's all about interest as well.
Yeah.
And all it takes, in the word of Tupac, all it takes is to reach one person with what you're trying to get out from your art to what you're trying to say, and you've done your job.
Yeah, yeah.
Wouldn't it be better to have just like one person who genuinely takes what you're saying serious, you can have a good debate with, than having a million bots?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's more on a personal level, isn't it?
Yeah.
It means so much more. And I do still have a good few listeners that used to listen to us over on that show who still speak to today, still watch my stuff, and been tuning into the first podcast I did, and they're really happy to hear me doing stuff again and see me, because this is kind of new.
Respect, mate. It's all about evolution and moving on in it. Do you know what I mean? It's stepping up in the game.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm not going to let the world's problems get me down anymore. I'm trying to be positive and focus on a bit of a future for my son, if anything, really, because That's what it's about, the kids, isn't it?
That's what you're providing for, pal.
Yeah, so moving on, I think we should get a bit into your community work and charity stuff, get a little bit of a insight into what you've been behind there.
So back in 2008, I went to an event in Manchester with Dukins called Missing in Manchester, right? And that's where all the A-lister artists play. Long story short, I got chatting to the promoter, right, MC Curdy, who said to me, "Is your name Robbie S?" And I said, "Yeah." And he went, "Right, you're on stage in 5 minutes." And I was like, "What?" He went, "Are you the DJ, Robbie S?" I went, No, I'm an MC." He went, "Oh, it's not you then." Anyway, I went to the toilet and I'm stood there, and this bloke came walking in the toilet with a camcorder. And John McKinnon, he's called, R.I.P. by the way, from Hardcore TV. He said, "Right, a bit weird, but I'm in the toilets here trying to get people sure that they're having a good time, yeah? Have we got any MCs in here?" I went, "Yeah, me." And he went, "Right, you're on stage in 2 minutes." I went, "What for?" He went, "They're getting all booked MCs on stage, yeah? So I can film you all." And I said to Dukins, I went, "What the hell am I supposed to do here now?" He went, "Bro, you've just been given the green light. Go." Yeah?
No way.
So
Wow.
I jumped on stage, right? The place was absolutely banging, about 400 people all raving the backs out. And I'm thinking, how am I going to get on this now? So I walked over to one of the MCs, I think it was Steele at the time, and just held my hand out. He's passed me the mic. And I was on from 5 minutes to then 15 minutes. And as I walked off the stage, Curdy came over, he went, "Do you actually MC?" And I was like, yeah. He said, "Right, well, listen, come down here again next month. Yeah, I'll put you on." Yeah, he said, "You can go back to back with Robbie S.
Okay.
2 Robs make it right," kind of thing. And it was like, right, okay, cool. Long story short, went back the time after, yeah, and went down with these 2 lads. One of them was a youth worker. And he was filming me when I was on the mic, yeah. And I was getting a bit worried as to why he was doing that, yeah. So I said to him, "Can I ask you a question after the set?" I went, "Why are you actually filming?" And he went, "So I can show it to this youth project that I work at." He said, "Because they're looking for an MC to come down and do what you call MC sessions. Yeah?
Yeah.
Somebody will come down and do a bit of creative writing with some of these kids that are always getting in trouble, and literally get them to open up about what's going on." So it was kind of history repeating itself with what I'd done at Harmony. Yeah. But then now having the opportunity to do it my own way. So I went down, and there were these 5 lads that I was working with, and I got that kind of look off them. They were like a young N-Dubs type crew with an attitude issue, yeah, always getting kicked out of class. And they didn't really take to anybody because nobody took them serious.
Yeah.
They put them in the bracket of they keep getting in trouble.
So they must be bad.
They must be bad, right?
Yeah.
So we'll give them opportunities to do things like fishing and AQAs in cookery. And keeping it in the curriculum, maths and English, but not in class because they were getting kicked out. So I thought, I need to find a way to work with these kids where I can put what's in the academic curriculum, English, maths, science, and performing arts, to get them so that they're in line with their education, but they're also working in something that they enjoy, that being music.
Yeah.
So I said to these lads, right, look, what we're going to do is we're going to get a couple of topics here. I want to know what you guys get up to. Why do you get in trouble? Don't tell me the whole story. Just give me a specific reason. Is it for attention? Are you bored? What's going on? And there was this project called Note to Do, which was run by Atherton Police.
Okay.
Right? And basically what they said to me is, look, you're not a youth worker. I said, I know I'm not. I said, I'm an MC. And they basically said, right, we're going to give the kids £1,000, yeah, to go to a local music store and buy equipment. What do they need?
Wow.
So as a separate project for maths, they figured out how much it would cost for the decks and everything else. And they got an award for that. And then they went down to Cash Generator with a youth worker and they bought the equipment.
All right.
Only the equipment didn't work.
Oh.
So they were all annoyed about it. So when I turned up to the session the following week, I said, right, rather than getting stressed out about it, write about it. Yeah? And this police officer's walked in from Note to Do. And he said, can we just see the equipment? And I said, yeah, unfortunately, it's not working. So I made a phone call and got a DJ from the estate to come over. It was in Hagfold in Atherton. He came over, brought his decks over. One of the kids brought the mic over, and we dropped a tune, a bounce tune, and literally started passing the mic along there. Now, these kids were something special, yeah? Although they may have got in trouble in school, they were educated and intelligent in their own rights.
Yeah.
May not have been able to adapt and focus to the mainstream education, but the things that they were hitting out with lyrically, yeah, talking about gun crime, knife crime, drugs, twat, sexual awareness in an explicit way.
Yeah.
But because of the style of they were doing it, wasn't seen as socially acceptable, we had to tone it down.
Yeah.
So when the police saw the work that we were doing, right, they were used to them messing about. You know what I mean? Chasing them on a Friday night. These sessions caught on so much so that when the police came through with the headmistress of the school, Hesker Fletcher High School, they were all sat down writing, quiet.
Wow, yeah.
The turnaround in their behaviour, both in school, out of school, was big within such a short space of time, because we got them focusing on why they're doing what they're doing on a psychological level. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the headmistress said to me, right, we've got another school in Atherton called Fred Longworth. Yeah. We're going to give you 6 weeks to work with these kids. Yeah. And then we're going to put you on a performance at this other high school. Now, this high school is not in competition, but it's another school where they work with kids of a similar kind of background.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm thinking, right, okay. She said, but you're going to need a name. You're going to need a name for this group. Yeah? And she said, any ideas? So I sat down with the kids, right? Give them a piece of paper. I said, I want you to come up with the name of a group, a band, a boy group. Yeah? I said, you've got the Blackout Crew at Harmony.
Yeah. What
could your name be? And they were like, the Detonator Man them. And I'm like, they went, the Destructive Boys, the Asbo Crew. And I'm thinking, as much as you're getting your brain ticking,
yeah, you're
not quite grasping. I said, this has got to go as a promotion for what we're doing here, the good work, to another school.
Of course,
where you guys can then go to this other school and show all the good work that you're doing here, because some of the teachers may be looking at you thinking, you guys ain't going nowhere in life here because you're dropping out of school because you're always getting in trouble. Well, it's your chance now to shine. So how are you going to shine? With a good, solid name.
Mm.
So I spoke to my mate and I said, look, these are the kind of names they're coming up with. He said, they're on the right path, right? He said, but when you look at them, honestly, what do you see? And I said, an inspirational, new, sensational youth team. And he went, right, write that down. Write it down. He went, take the first letter of each word and you've got insight. Just spelt different.
Wow.
Right? And I went, what's the chances though? What's the chances of how that worked? So I went and seen the headmistress that day. I said, look, these are the names that the kids have been coming up with. Obviously, it's a bit socially unacceptable. Although we've been doing a workshop, this is the name we're going to go with. She went, that's brilliant. And I said, well, this is based on what I see with these kids, because although they may not be excelling in class, they're excelling at what they do. And it's not me arguing against the academic curriculum, but we're doing English on the writing lyrics. We're doing art and design on the artwork. We're doing maths on the way that they've got to count the beats when they're DJing.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean?
Because it's fun to them as well.
Exactly. It's stealth learning, right? I said, so my argument here is there needs to be more of these kind of services, right?
Absolutely.
Because these kind of services can change lives. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, we don't even have youth clubs anymore.
Exactly. It's a big struggle due to funding cuts and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So, long story short, I said to her, right, can we possibly go with this name of Insight?
Yeah.
And take the crew we call ourselves the Insight Crew. Yeah. And we'll do a little speech when we get to Fred Longworth about what we've been doing, and the kids can come on and do their thing.
Yeah.
One will cover gun crime, one will cover knife crime, one will cover antisocial behaviour, another one will cover sexual awareness, but we'll encourage them to write about something short, sweet, that'll get a message across to reach people, so that when they next get on the mic, they're not just going to be a bitty bad boy and talking about guns and knives.
Yeah.
So she said, what you've got there is actually a formula. You're including the academic curriculum. You're including positive change in young people's lives. You should seriously look at doing this on a permanent level, on a full-time level. So I had a chat with a couple of teachers that I know and said, look, I don't know what I'm doing here, you know, from delivering voluntary MC sessions to literally going to a school and delivering it to a bunch of kids that are in and out of class, you know, seemingly have got no hope, to turning them around in a short space of time. I want to set this up on a bigger level. Where do I go? And they said, right, first of all, you need a format. You need to have what you need, your resources. You know, you need to have a plan. What age group are you going to be working with? How long do your workshops last? Is there any development stages? You know, everything gauges from start to finish. How do you work that out? You know, these are the kind of things that you have to figure. So I came up with the idea of a 6-week workshop. You know, your first session will be an introduction.
Yeah.
This is what MCing is, with an example, a little performance, you know, different styles of music showing. Then you've got your topic, then you've got your techniques. You know, as each week goes, you'll start to learn that little bit more. And at the end of each lesson or class, you'd do an evaluation to say that you've understood what's been going on. And you get a little bit of homework to take home. It could be write a verse based on whatever subject you want to cover.
Yeah.
Pick a piece of music, come back the week after and show us what you've done. Because by that point then, we're going to go on to the next step. Yeah. So these little 6-week workshops really caught on, you know? And it was a case of them, as I was getting on, I kept thinking, all I'm doing here is working with DJs' beats. And the music's been pre-made. Nah, I want to get a producer involved.
Yeah.
Who can make beats for the kids. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody who can literally make the beats so when these kids drop on tracks, as opposed to MCing over sets, that becomes their own piece of music. So ultimately, at the end of the 6-week project, they'll have learned writing, recording, performing. They'll get to work with a producer on editing and mastering what it is that they've recorded, right?
To understand
and
it.
Then so they've got an understanding and insight into the process, and they get to walk away with that track.
Yeah.
That they've made in that 6-week project.
Yeah.
So
that's setting them off on a whole new journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely.
So obviously throughout the whole of this, right, I kept thinking insight, media, and insight into the media. So you're going to get an understanding of communication.
Yeah.
With production. So my mate went, stop right there. Insight Media Productions.
Yeah.
There's your name.
Yeah.
Right? Now then my mum. Big shout out to my mum on this one. She said, Rob, you've done it again. I was like, what? She went, if you break down Insight Media Productions and take the first letter from each word, what have you got? I went, imp. And she went, and what's an imp? I went, a little devil. She went, so what's your slogan? I went, getting little devils off the streets.
Right, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
It's mad how it all works out.
So when basically, I then went to a place called Bolton CVS, and I had all my ideas jotted down on paper. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. It was just all evaluation reports and things like that. That's what I'd done. Took it to this place called Bolton CVS where you can get funding. And I asked them, how do you go about getting funding from like the National Lottery or Children in Need? Because I've heard that there's big pots. And they said, without you being a constituted group, having a committee and having a constitution, you're not going to get anything. Yeah. You need to have the legalities. You need to have a committee. a chairman, a secretary, a treasurer, a child protection officer, a safeguarding officer. You need to go on all these courses. I said, is there not an easier way to do it? And they went, yeah, we've got a constitution template. We've got a committee template. All you need to do is find the right people that are qualified in said positions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then once you've got that, then you go to the bank, open up an account, and then you can apply for funding. Right? Yeah. Now, back in the day, I was thinking, I wasn't jumping 10 steps ahead, but I was looking at how fast it was growing and how many workshops I was doing. So from working in a school 1 week, finishing that project in another school, to then ended up in a community centre in my own area, and then going to another area, getting emails all the time from different schools and the youth services wanting to get us involved. But because I wasn't set up as an organisation, as soon as they found that out, like, unfortunately, we can't have you.
Yeah.
Because you've got to be a constituted group, you know, you've got to have your child protection policies in place. You could be anybody.
Yeah.
You know, so you've got to be CRB checked, you know, before we can have you in. So I was like, right, okay, I'm going to start looking for the right people. Obviously, you need school teachers involved. You need people from the youth services involved. You need people who are experienced in how projects work and how to promote and network with schools.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And literally seeing how it all started to work and how it all fell into place. There was a lot of problems in the area where I was living in Dean with antisocial behaviour.
Yeah.
Kids getting up to all kinds of trouble because there wasn't any youth clubs in the area. Well, there was, but it was more for the younger kids, like your toddlers. Yeah. So a lot of the kids, the teenagers, I used to look out my mum's window and look up the back street, and you'd see all these kids sat on the green box on a Friday night, drinking and just getting up to no good, and there was no hope, seemingly. Yeah. But they could spit lyrics. And I'd go up every now and again asking them how they're doing, what they're up to. Like, oh, I'm just bored, innit? Listen to this lyric about being bored. And I was like, all right, okay, you guys really like, you know, you could do with finding some kind of a club to maybe MC, yeah? And they were like, yeah, if only somebody would do that, Robbie. And I was like, right, okay. On that note, I went home, printed a letter saying, you know, like a form asking people for their signatures to say what they wanted, like a questionnaire. And I got all the kids, to go around the whole of the estate, with 50 forms to come back to me by the end of the day. Yeah.
Wow.
Within 2 hours, they came back and all the forms were filled in and they were asking for more.
Wow.
I then went to Bolton Council and I said, look, I've got 100 signatures here, saying that kids in the Dean area are at the risk of antisocial behaviour and social exclusion and getting involved with gang culture, criminal activity, because they've got nothing to do.
Yeah.
And they're all interested in music as a way of escaping.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they said, right, okay. They said, that's evidence, yeah? How are you getting on with your constituted group? And I said, oh, we've got the constitution together. I've got the right people ready. You know, we're good to go. She said, right, put in an application to Awards for All through the National Lottery for £10,000. Yeah. I'd never filled an application form like that in my life, mate. Yeah. It was like a 25-page application.
Wow.
To look at something like that when I didn't get the greatest academic grades when I left school. And I'd not actually put my hand to anything like that for years. Yeah. So to have a go at it the first time, you had to wait 3 weeks for a result. Yeah, I'm still out there doing voluntary workshops here and there, volunteering with other organisations. And then I got a letter back from the lottery. Unfortunately, on this time, you've not been successful as your application was too personal in terms of I was highlighting specific groups as opposed to talking on policies.
Okay.
Written the right way, but due to me not having the training, I missed out the politically correct terminology.
Okay.
So that being said, I had a meeting with a couple of people who were in that sector, and they sent me to Bolton Council to a lady called Samira Foster, who works for Find Your Talent in Bolton. She took all my ideas, helped me write the application. She said, you're on the right track here. Just change a few things here and there,
Yeah.
And you'll get it. Mate, imagine how elated I was 3 weeks later when I resubmitted and I got the first grant.
Wow, yeah.
That was unbelievable, man. Seriously, to be able to go to HW Audio in Bolton, get some decks, get a new microphone, to be able to pay for a venue, which was the Phoenix Youth Theatre in Bolton, where it had its own stage, a performing hall, where we could set the decks up on. We had a little room where we could do get a couple of laptops and do some art sessions and writing sessions.
Yeah.
And we'd have it Tuesday and Thursday, 6 till 8. Yeah. So it'd be like 1 hour performing, 1 hour writing. And on the first session, I'll never forget it, only 2 people turned up.
Oh.
Right. And the chairman of our committee turned up. And we had the big banner up there. Doors were open, half expecting there to be a lot of kids coming. Nobody. Yeah. Mate, I felt like an instant, this isn't going to work. So then one of my mates said to me, go on Facebook, put a status on Facebook. At the time, I didn't have a clue how to use it, right?
Yeah.
So I put the status on Facebook stating that we've got 100 people who are interested in this service. Now we're offering the option to pick people up and drop them off. Yeah? Because a big issue was for people who come from families where they ain't got a lot of money. They don't get a lot of pocket money. How can they get from one area into the town centre?
Of course, yeah.
Well, we provide a minibus to pick them up and drop them off.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? The second week, I would guess how many turned up? 36.
Wow.
36, right?
It's awesome.
In that 36, there was 6 DJs, 12 rappers, 10 MCs.
Wow.
The rest were like little groupies who were following, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But the ones who weren't involved in the active side would be in the other room on the writing side.
Yeah.
And then some of the MCs and rappers would come through from the main room and sit and do workshops.
Oh, wow.
See how it worked?
Yeah, yeah. Everyone helping each other.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
and bit by bit it started to grow, right? But with any kind of novel thing, something that's new, it's a trend, right? Everybody's like, whoa, check this out. This is the place to go. And, you know, even though we were only on Tuesdays and Thursdays, then other organisations were saying, yo, can you come over and do what you're doing with you guys, with us?
Ah, right.
When you first get going, you're like, you don't want to let nobody down, right? So you're like, yeah. And before you know it, right, you can ended up getting you can take too much on.
Yeah, overwhelm yourself.
Yeah, so people were saying, right, so now you've got your DJing, you've got your production, you've got your MCing. What about bringing like art in, you know, fashion? You'll attract more other kids who might not be into the music side of things, but then you can bring in, you know, retail, you can bring in art and design, you can bring in photography. All stuff that goes hand in hand. Yeah, right. Before I knew it, it was going from Insight Media, right, where we were involved in the community, we were working in schools, we were working in houses, we were working with other projects, we were involved in setting up charity events for Bolton Hospice, doing fundraisers, where basically I'd give all performing artists that will come into our project the opportunity to get on stage and perform 3 tracks each. Wow. In exchange for them helping promote the event, you know, on their social media and getting people down to the event. Not a case of the old school tactic, what promoters used to use in the past, yeah. We'll give you an option to play if you can guarantee that you can sell so many tickets. I don't get down with that. Right? Yeah. Yeah, no disrespect. Everybody's got their own method. Yeah. But I ain't like that, you know what I mean? And it was just a case of seeing how people work for what they could be like as a potential artist. Because in any form of arts, in any form of entertainment, as you know, you've got to have a bit of a following. You've got to be able to pull a few people to come and support you. You know, and that's what promoters want to see. Because ultimately, why would they book somebody who's not got anybody following them? Of course. It's poor business, isn't it, right? Yeah. So I'd look at it, on one sense, that's what I'd say to them, look, you get the opportunity to perform here, to represent what we do at a charity event. Now, what you've got to look at is you've got to help promote this. Don't think about it as promoting what we do in yourself. Promote the charity. Yeah. Because hand in hand, more people will go through the charity to support that, then they'll get to see you and they'll know that we're all working together. So it's kind of like, how can I put it, a tactical thing. You know what I mean? And bit by bit, when you sort of see how the charity work comes in, the fundraiser side comes in, the developing talent, the teaching people how the scene works, you know, you're putting more on than you're actually giving yourself credit for. So then somebody comes down to us from a funding organisation and says, do you know, technically, you're a college.
Wow.
You could be a community college because of all the different outcomes that people are getting. And from the fact that there's only 6 or 7 of you guys doing this, that's commendable. But can you imagine if you had enough funding to support you and you had access to a place 5 days a week?
Yeah.
You know, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You'd be able to then take it to the next level. But in order for you to do that, you need to up your game and become more structured. You need what you call modules. So I'm thinking, modules?
Yeah.
What do you mean? So I spoke to our vice chairman at the time and I said, how do we work modules? And he was an English teacher, a teacher at school, yeah? And he basically said, what you got to do is you got to look at what's associated with what, right? So you got DJing, MCing, music production is one module, right?
Yeah.
Photography, Photoshop, video is another module. Retail, art, and design. Design something on paper, come up with a maybe make a T-shirt, come up with a way on how you can sell it. There's your retail. You've got 4 modules. You run these modules over 6 months.
Yeah.
2 months on each one. And the outcome is a showcase at the end for the public. Yeah? You invite the mayor down, chief of police, the head of antisocial behaviour from the council. And you invite people from the news.
Wow.
The radio. You know, you see all this and you start thinking, how am I going to do this? And then somebody goes like, you know why? Because you're blessed and you're born to do it. Yeah. And one of my friends said to me, when it's amazing to watch how you can do all this. You know, you've got a team of so many dedicated people here, but you're doing it on very limited amounts of funding. How much time are you putting into this? I said, truthfully, 70 hours a week.
Wow. That's dedication.
And of the funding that I was getting, I'd be lucky to receive £200 a week. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, when you're seeing £10,000 coming in here, £10,000 coming in, £5,000 coming in here, people on the outset and through the media are like, whoa, this project's absolutely minting it. You must be making a killing. You know what I mean? But you don't. Because when you've got other artists that you've got to pay for venue hire, insurance, advertising, marketing, all that side of things, you've got sincerely to try and balance that with the fact that it's all voluntary. How are you supposed to live?
Yeah, of course.
And what got me, I mean, not a lot of people know this, right? But whilst I was running the project, I had a lot of personal problems going on, you know, mental health wise, with trying to run this and balance with my own family.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, through dedicating so much of my time into building this, it caused a relationship to fall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you end up losing your partner because you're trying to build and develop something that everybody else is praising, you sort of think it's one or the other.
Yeah.
So you kind of get to the point where you're thinking, right, my family personal life is going to pot here, but on the face of the community, everything's good.
Yeah.
Where's the fine line?
There's a balance.
I'm not getting paid, so I've got to work as well. So on top of doing all that, you've got to try and find a balance to work.
Yeah.
It's too much, man. So eventually it led to me having a mental breakdown. Yeah. You know, and it's like being the type of person who has always been driven through being creative and driven off passion. Yeah. I used to always think to myself, all it's going to take for me, I'm destined to blow up with something. All it's going to take is for me to find that one thing that I can click with, yeah, and I'm going to give it 100, regardless of the consequences.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, I used to see all these adverts popping up about mental health, you know, anxiety, stress, depression. Don't take too much on. It was like every now and again they'd pop up on the TV or on the radio, and I just used to try and blank them because my mind was so dedicated and switched on to multitasking, micromanaging.
Yeah.
You know, people would say to me, look, you've got a team of people here, but you want to take over everything. I'd be like, no, it's not a case of wanting to take over. It's a case of this is my baby. I've put so much time into this that I want to make sure it's all done right. And I'll give people the opportunity to come in as and when I know that they can under my supervision.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you've got a lot riding on it, from funders to the media, to the council, to the police, to people on social media, to the kids' parents, watching your every move, right?
Pressure.
Put on top of that, you fall into pieces behind the scene.
Yeah.
So I don't want this to come across like I'm twisting it or looking for sympathy votes, but since that happened, it gave me a completely different outlook on life. You know, there was only so long I could hold it together before it collapsed.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll never forget. It got to the point where something had to give. You know, so after 9 years of running the workshops, and as I've been saying, in schools, in the community, working even in prisons, like in the youth offenders, it got to the point where it was going too big, too quick, and I wasn't getting paid. So I needed to find a job. I needed to sort things out with my family. Yeah. And bit by bit, drinking was creeping in as well. You know what I mean? I'm not going to lie. Everybody and anybody who knows me will know. And I'm man enough to admit that I have had a past with drink, drugs. I needed an outlet.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And my way of coping was to get drunk.
Yeah.
And bit by bit, you start to see how things in your head are like falling into place, but in reality, they're breaking down around you. So I got to the point where I said, look, I'm going to have to knock it all on the head. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to close it all because I don't know where I'm up to. You know, looking back at the achievements, we've had some amazing achievements, right? But in a realistic point of view, we've got to be honest. There's only so much that we can actually do before it's time to say, right, enough's enough.
Yeah, and sometimes I think we're focusing on helping everyone else. We forget to help ourselves.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Because you can, when you're the face of something, this is one thing that I've learned, not being negative about it, but when you're the face of something that's trending and popular and you're there for everybody else and you're doing all you can to help others, everybody wants to know you. Everybody's like always like, yes, mate, how you doing? We can't walk down the street without people going like, yo, you all right? Wanting to stop and chat to you. As soon as you stop, you can walk past the same people that were bigging you up like now, right? And they won't even have a minute to spend with you because you're no longer doing for them.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a sad thing, really, but it's the fact of life. Do you know what I mean? And one thing that since I stepped away from it in 2017, it took me the best part of about 2 years to accept it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I looked at it like this. I've got to come to terms with my own mental health problems and my own personal problems, sort things out with my family before I can even think about going back down that route. And one thing that I noticed, every time I tried to get back into that route, I didn't have the spark.
Yeah.
I didn't have the same spark as what I used to.
Lost the drive, sort of.
It wasn't a case of lost the drive. It was a case of I lost the control.
Yeah.
Because when you're running something and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, word to the wise, the bigger something goes, the more work's got to be put in, the more time's got to be vested in. You know what I mean? I didn't have that ability because now my son lives with me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm working full time. I've got a house of my own. Sorry, I've got my own place. It's kind of like I can't physically and mentally put my time into that.
Yeah, it's hard.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So credit to yourself when you're trying to build this up and the way that you're doing it, because you've got a balance, you've got a focus.
Yeah.
Where you can work, you can run your house, you've got your family time. That's what I like to see.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's hard, like you say, finding that balance. I mean, Mrs. used to say, "Why do you go to bed so late? You're so tired in the mornings." Well, that's why, because you only get them few hours in the evening.
Do you ever find as well, right, that even though you can be working yourself to the bone trying to get your thing off the ground, right, you're not getting to sleep till 2, 3 in the morning.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Then you've got to be up for 6 to go to work, or 5:30.
Yeah, and it catches up.
Do you ever find that even on your weekend or your time off, you might have gone to bed at 2, but you're up at 4:30 and you're like ready to go back on your thing?
Yeah,
you wake up with your
personally,
ideas.
no, I ended up sleeping until someone rings me.
Bro, I used to get it, me. I'd wake up with an idea. It's like I wasn't asleep. It's like I was hypnotized or something like that.
Yeah.
Permanent autopilot.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Good way to be, man, and it definitely shows through your writing abilities and style and stuff.
Yeah, man.
So props to you. Props to you for getting out of that hole as well, because it sounds like it was a dark place you were in there for a while.
I'm not going to lie, mate, right, yeah? When you're in that position where you think, right, I don't want to be here anymore, yeah? And you actually think, because on 1 minute you're up there,
yeah,
right? And you're at the peak of where you're meant to be. The thing here, what you see is it can only go higher, which means ultimately you're going to get more put on you. And if you ain't in a full-time job with it, you're doing more for not getting paid. Yeah. And what's that going to achieve? It's just going to make it harder for you to make your time for yourself and your family, right? So it got to the point where I ended up going to the hospital and I spoke to them. I said, look, I think I need to be admitted, because I'm literally rock bottom. It's got to the point now where if I don't get help, something could seriously happen. And they took me for a walk around like a severe mental health ward. And they said, look, you can stay here. Yeah, we can let you come because we can see you're in a really bad way. Or you can go home and you can have people come and see you. But we'll have to medicate you.
Okay.
Right? So they put me on antidepressants, yeah, and antipsychotics because my mind had literally gone to that point where I tipped the scales. And I was feeling guilty of the fact that I've had to fold everything. Think, like after all the good work we've been doing, where am I going to be at? I'm going to be useless. I'm not worthless. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's surprising how that kind of a feeling can have an impact on you. So then when you start to take antidepressants, and I had a Bolton home-based treatment team coming around seeing me every day for 2 weeks. And they literally helped me in more ways than I can ever thank anybody. It was a therapist who come round, a counsellor, and we did all kinds of psychological tests and little strategy worksheets.
Yeah.
Keep a diary on how you feel each day. The drugs that I was taking were helping for a certain period of time. But then after a while, I started to realise that I don't need the drugs.
Yeah.
Do you get me? They were making me worse. Yeah? The tune, the verve. I used to play it on repeat. Now the drugs don't work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I used to think, they got a point. Because in life, you may hit rock bottom, but in reality, there's only you that can bring yourself out of it.
Spot on, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And bit by bit, when I started to get better, I started to find that people were still there in the circuit. People were still there in the community scene. And they started saying to me, right, Rob, instead of you've done your time now, yeah? Congratulations to everything that you've done. You worked with 5,000 kids in 5 years. You made a massive impact, right? You've got references galore. Instead of you trying to control and run it all yourself, yeah? Why don't you come and volunteer? Yeah? Anytime you want. We'll pay you.
Wow.
The rate that you want. Because we know what you can do. And I'm like, you mean after all that time and everything I went through, all I had to do was just ask? It's crazy, right? Yeah. How when you're trying to get something off the ground, you can go 100 miles an hour and keep saying yes to everybody because you're thinking that it's going to lead somewhere.
Yeah.
But when you go into meetings after meetings after meetings and you're getting told one hand, yeah, we're going to have you and we're going to pay you this much. And then somebody else will come in from another organisation and undercut you, and they'll have all the equipment and all the qualified staff.
Yeah, bells and whistles.
Yeah, then you get the email back saying, unfortunately,
Yeah.
you've been pipped to the post. It's like, lets you down.
Yeah.
You know, how you were saying about your missus says, why you go to bed so late?
Yeah.
I'd be up till 3 o'clock in the morning emailing people in America. Yeah. You know, trying to get our artists out there. Yeah. And it became to the point where for all the good work, yeah, there's a fine line in a balance. Yeah. And it's how to balance it is the key.
Mm.
If you don't have a strategy and focus and a cut-off time, it will take over you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I just felt like that was one part that I had to share, you know, because it's one thing to talk about the performing side of things, the style, the skills, what I needed to be an MC. But from my personal experience, events have been one thing, working with organizations have been another, but using what I learned in that to actually set up a community project and work with charities was another.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? Just be mindful.
Yeah.
That's what I will say to people. Just be mindful.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, some of the biggest musical artists in the world go through these struggles, don't they?
Yeah.
No matter how big they are, how much money they've got coming in, just mainly to the pressures and not having time to focus on themselves and their families and stuff. So you're definitely not alone in that. But fair play to you for being able to come back from it.
One thing what I will say to anybody that's going through stress, anxiety, depression, right? And this is me on a relaxed level now, yeah, is meditation works, right?
Yeah, I've heard this, yeah.
So when I was at the peak of an anxiety attack, right, as I was coming off the antidepressants and everything, I started to get anxious and scatty. And I used to think, I need a way to naturally calm down. What's going on here? Why am I getting anxious? Well, my shoulders are up like this. I can't breathe proper. I'm tight-chested. I don't know. I'll go on YouTube and I'll research anti-anxiety tips or breathing tips, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
So I went on YouTube and I typed in anxiety tips, techniques. And there's this Canadian kid, right? And he comes on and he says, hi, guys. I'm here today to give everybody a bit of guidance on how to deal with anxiety. What we do, we call box breathing. Right, I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
Right, so he said, basically, you breathe in for 4 seconds and you imagine a line going along the bottom in front of you, right? You breathe out through your nose 4 seconds and you imagine a line going up. You do this, repeat, cycle, so you're making a box. Breathing,
wow.
right? And you repeat it 4 times. By the end of the time you've done that, you're calm. Now, the reason I've remembered it was in the background, you could hear this dog like barking its head off, yeah? And he's like, for God's sake, will you stop barking? I'm doing an anti-anxiety video. And I'm thinking, well, you know what I mean? It's like, but yeah, little techniques, yeah? And the antipsychotics, antidepressants, and all the drugs that you get given help for a while. They reset your mind, your brain.
Yeah.
Because from when you took too much on, yeah, and you've had your episode, when you're getting support, believe it or not, everything that they're talking to you about and working with you on the cognitive behaviour thing, yeah, is helping you get yourself back rationally, logical wise, yeah?
Yeah.
And everything that they're saying to you going in. You might think when you're on the tablets that you're spaced out and it's not, but it is. Because it all goes subconscious, right? But then you still need to have that time when you can chill out. So meditation music, yeah? I seriously, every night, I put meditation music on YouTube, you know, from guided meditation to transcendental meditation, different kinds, and all seem to work because You could have had a bad day at work. You could have had an argument with family, with your partner. You feel like you want to explode. But practice the box breathing and you get into a situation, 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out. Repeat until you feel calmer. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then just find like 10, 20 minutes where you can just switch off and put some meditation music on. It's surprising how it changes your state of mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that from a few people now about the meditation stuff, and people doing like yoga and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
People laugh, oh, yoga, but I think that is part of the meditation and relaxing thing, isn't it? And it's really helped people. And I think there's cold water therapy you can do as well in this ice stuff.
Yeah, I've seen one of my mates, he was telling me about that. You can get in a cold shower, yeah, where it's freezing cold water, yeah, and that's a lot better than having a normal shower. It shocks your system.
Yeah, it's supposed to be really good. Yeah, it's supposed to be really good. And people do these ice bath things as well.
Well, you can get in a wheelie bin, yeah, full of ice cold water.
Wow.
And get in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll help you calm down.
Yeah. Yeah, so there is techniques out there for people that they can try, and if they're feeling like that. And I'd always say as well, don't be a victim and don't be afraid of the stigma, especially for men, of being able to speak out and say, look, I'm depressed, I need some help, I've got these thoughts. Because I think that is something that, you know, we're supposed to man up and all that, and I think that's quite dangerous. I think you need to let it out. And
you've got to express yourself, man. Yeah. Seriously. I mean, along with the issues of mental health, you know, another part of mine is knife crime. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody hasn't been keeping up with the news, but if you've not seen it, then you must be blinkered. One of the main issues that's been affecting society for as long as I can remember is knife crime. Yeah.
Yeah.
From the youth of today, handling knives, carrying knives, being taken, you know, kids being taken, kids killing kids, gangs carrying machetes and going, you know, getting into serious situations with knife attacks and being victims and things like that. When I was coming away from the community project side of things, obviously I was getting back into the MCing side, and I started thinking, what can I MC about? You know, and I found a project called Drop the Knife Value Life, yeah, which was on YouTube, set up by MC Lady MC and Bellyman.
Yeah. Oh, right, wow.
Big artist, right? Now, obviously, as a potential D&B MC, I'd always try to find a way to connect with these guys, yeah? But because I didn't have anything with major substance, it's like, how do you reach these guys? So Bellyman and Lady MC put out on YouTube, if any MCs out there have got anything to say about knife crime, you don't have to be an MC. You may just have a poem or spoken word, anything that you can get across. The more that we can talk about it, the more we can get it out there and prevent, you know, hopefully make a difference. So I wrote a track called Drop the Knife Value Life, yeah? And put it on YouTube. And I was saying I didn't go about views. It's never really been my thing. That one got over 1,500 views in a quick time. And a lot of positive feedback, yeah. I was asked to perform at community events and protests and things like that. That kind of a subject is and always will be a major plague on society unless it's continuously addressed.
Yeah.
And I truly do believe that the way that was handled, over 20,000 MCs from the UK to Europe to America to Australia, global, sent in on that.
Wow.
It's still available to check on YouTube.
Yeah, where can you find that?
It's called Drop the Knife Value Life.
Okay.
The campaign isn't running now. It was more of like a 2020 thing, yeah?
Yeah.
But still, if you type it in on YouTube, Drop the Knife Value Life, you'll see it there.
Yeah.
Mine's Robbie MC.
Yeah, I'll put the links below and I'll put a little card above here for people to click on as well.
I mean, from that kind of an outset, over the last sort of 8 months in Bolton, there's been a group called SKC, on Facebook, right? And it's a couple of guys that have come together who've genuinely had enough of knife crime incidents because over the last year, there's been 3 killings, 3 murders, young lads.
In your town, like?
Yeah, one was 15, the other one was 21, the one was 23, I think.
Wow.
And then there's another one who was 12 or something like that. Not killed, but seriously hospitalised. Now, my fear is my son's 11.
Same. My son's the same age.
You know, he had an incident last year when a kid pulled a knife on him.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? And I won't go too into that one, but my point is it was it's happening.
Yeah, it's a very scary situation.
How we said, one more time, big ups to Stop Knife Crime, the Facebook, the lads in Bolton, you know, they're doing really big things. They've set up a page where businesses can donate to them in exchange for advertising. Now, what they do with any money that they get paid, they'll put the company name on the Facebook page. Yeah. Right. And the donations that they make go towards making enough money to buy amnesty boxes.
Oh, okay, yeah,
They can be put in hotspot areas in Bolton. Yeah. So if anybody's got a knife, and they're thinking of using it, they can literally go down there and put that knife in that box. Or they can ring one of the guys, the volunteers, and say, look, I've got this here. And they don't have to give the name or anything, do it anonymously.
Just leave it somewhere.
Yeah, and since they've been doing it, they've just check them out on Facebook. Yeah, it's SKC. Yeah. And you'll see the work that they're doing. You know, it's like to see that kind of a thing being so active, you know. One thing that really made me feel sick about two or 3 weeks ago, one of the lads who I work with on a building site, he said he went to the shop, right? And some bloke came over to him. I mean, imagine in the midst of all this problem that we've got with knife crime. And he said he was stood there, and he's pulled out a bag and went, yeah, mate, do you want to buy one of these? And shows him a bag full of lock knives. He said there's pink ones, yellow ones, black ones. He went £4 each, bro. It's like,
wow.
What's
in your head?
What's the mentality of people in this world? That's some scary shit right there. Yeah. That people will be selling knives on the streets. You know what I mean?
And a lot of these younger kids as well, they get groomed into this way of thinking because I don't think many of them understand, at least until they grow up, that you're not only destroying the person's life you've killed, you're destroying your own family's life.
It's absolutely
two families.
Mate. It's balmy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes these kids go out with a knife because they're scared, because they've heard that other people have got knives, and it's like well, if they've got one, I'm going to have one and protect myself. And sadly, sometimes they get the knife turned around on them.
Exactly.
You know,
and, you know, there's no other outcome of knife crime. Yeah? It's either there to be used. Some say it's used for protection. Some say it's used for defence. But to even contemplate carrying one makes no sense.
Yeah.
That's not trying to be lyrical. That's actually how it is. Yeah.
Of course.
And you see so many kids who think it's big to walk around with a machete or a shank, as they call it, to say, I'll sheath you up and things like that. Do you know what I mean? It's like they're watching all these like gang films and they're trying to become gangsters with their attitude because of the certain slang that's used. And in reality, what happens to a family when their children or their child is taken, I just pray it never happens to my own.
Yeah, same.
You know, I've got a son, a daughter, a granddaughter. The last thing I'd ever want is any of them to happen. But to anybody who's ever lost anybody, it's beyond fathom, and my heart goes out to you all. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, it's a horrible, tragic thing. And I think that there's not enough education in terms of this because, like you see, the gang culture and even a lot of the grime scene and, you know, drill music in general. Not all of it. I'm not generalising because there's some good positive vibes put out there. But the sort of dark gang sort of stuff and the bragging about, I killed this guy from this area and we'll do this and we'll do that. It's sad because a lot of them don't realise that, yeah, it's easy to kill someone in a heartbeat, literally. But can you live with it for the rest of your life when you're
actions have consequences, Dean?
Because I listen to a lot of podcasts, true crime stuff, and the genuine theme is from 99% of the people that have killed people is that they spend, 20, 30 years or whatever it was in prison. Literally every time they close their eyes, they can see the person that they've killed, and it haunts them. And it's the biggest mistake they've ever made. And it's shattered 2 whole families. And yeah, there just needs to be more education.
There's one documentary that I seen like I was saying before, I worked at Harmony, volunteered there years ago, and we did a project about knife crime. That was in 2007, I think it was. I was watching a documentary on Panorama, and it was called Jail for a Knife, right? And it was 3 young offenders that were in prison for possession and using a knife, And the person who was actually interviewing them, he'd been in jail himself, not for a knife crime. He just, because he'd been in prison, he had a way about him where he could talk to these young offenders.
Yeah.
He could get into their heads a little bit more, asking why they've done what they've done.
Yeah.
And you found like there was one lad there who come from an estate who got his phone nicked, when he was getting off the bus. And there was 5 of them who did it. One of them pulled a knife on him. So the day after, he put a knife up his sleeve. When he got off the bus, he saw one of them, and they started teasing him about it, so he stabbed him. And that lad's in jail he got 18 years. He was only 15 when he did it, right? Then there was another lad who thought he was a bad boy, sold a bit of weed and that, and thought he was a bad boy in his neighbourhood, somewhere in London. I think it was Brixton. And he got coaxed by a gang to go and stab somebody who was dealing on their patch. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And it's kind of like the things that I've heard over the years and the campaigns that I've been involved in, from the lyrics that I've dropped and the kind of perspective that I've got and the understanding, the insight, I cover a lot of it in my book, right? Now, the crazy thing is, without being too fact-based, I've categorized my book as fiction.
Okay.
Right? Because it's crime, fiction, drama.
Yeah.
Now, in order for it to be perceived as if it's not about me is one thing, because in all fairness, a lot of people who know me and my past from different circuits know what I'm about.
Yeah.
That's not saying that when you read the story, everything that happens to the main character is about me.
Yeah, yeah.
You'll sort of see little bits of me in different characters throughout.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But not from what I've done, from what I've seen, my interpretation, my understanding of. But there's certain characters in there who I've seen over the years and who've agreed to me featuring them under a different name.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like from me going back to the roots of when I first started MCing, being involved with gangs and being involved with the drug side of things, the dealing side of things, right? Never going to prison, being lucky like that, to suddenly realizing that, look, I could be somebody with music, but I have to experience that way of life in order to become that storyteller.
That's what makes you you, isn't it? Your experience.
Right. So to sort of be, it feels weird to be actually open like this, because since I released the book, it's fiction.
Yeah.
But anybody who knows me
knows a lot of it's true.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say it's all about me, like I say, but the book itself is called From the Streets to the Stage. Yeah. It's about a young aspiring rapper who's trying to make it in the hip-hop scene. Okay? Now, in order for him to make it in the scene, he comes from an area called Holy Hell.
Okay.
Right? Now, that's actually a code name of an area where I grew up.
Yeah.
Okay? And around every corner in holy hell, trouble awaits.
Yeah.
Okay? You've got the most sinister of characters where everybody's either a drug dealer, a ruthless gangster, or somebody who's waiting to prove themselves to be the next man, the next Don.
Yeah.
And if you're not of that certain, if you're not cut from that cloth, you're either not accepted or you run the risk of becoming a stain on the sidewalk if you want to try and get into that life. Because the character has the ability to just tell the stories of what goes on.
Yeah.
But because he's not from that life, he has to experience that life to be known.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Yeah, yeah.
So that then when he does start telling the stories, people understand that it's real talk.
Yeah.
There's the difference between MCing to hardcore, to bounce, to drum and bass, on my level, has been about the hype and the positive messages. Whereas now, when I'm going down the storyteller route with hip-hop, it's the real talk.
Yeah.
And this book, what I've wrote, it's about the progression of how this artist wants to become signed to a label, because from as far back as he can remember, all he's ever been is blindsided by the guns and knives and the bitches and hoes.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
the big fat cars and that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
So he's like, I want to get that. I know I can do that. I've got the ability to be that way. You know, I know I can be that star and I can get on that label. Yeah. And I'll do everything that it takes for me to get there. Yeah. Only when he gets to that point, things aren't as glamorous as what they seem. Because then there's the corruption with the industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're told how to be, what to do, finding out about how not all the money comes to you. When the music's sold, you only get a small amount.
Yeah.
And you're putting most in it and you're the face of it. So then he has to find his alternative way. But I don't want to go on and give too much away.
No, of course not. You don't want to reveal
if it's called From the Streets to the Stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where can you find it?
I've self-published it on Amazon on paperback.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's also available on Kindle. So it's $9.99 on Amazon.
Yep.
As paperback. And $6.99 on Kindle.
Yeah.
Or if you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free.
All right. Okay. Cool.
Now, what I found from that, this is not trying to plug it and sell it as such.
Within your rights to on here, honestly.
Right. With Kindle Unlimited, right? If you pay, if you get it for free,
yeah,
and then you share it to somebody else who's also got Kindle Unlimited,
yeah,
right? I get what you call royalties from the Kindle Global Fund.
Okay.
Right? Amazon and the Kindle Global Fund, they have like a fund where they'll pay royalties to the author of 3,000 pages that have been read. Okay? Wow. So my book is 166 pages. If 10 people read that, that's 1,660 pages.
Yeah.
If 20 people read it on that format where it's not cost them anything.
Yeah, yeah.
I get something like 70p per page.
Right. Wow.
So as well as me selling it, yeah, and getting support from my family, my friends, my colleagues, people in the industry, yeah, supporting authors, you know, there's also ways that I can get a bit back from the mainstream companies. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So for me to see that after all these years of everything that I've done, being able to now finally learn about writing a story, to literally coming from chapter 1 of this is where it's at and sending that round to about 50 people and every one of them say, yo, that's sick, that.
Yeah.
Right? I can visualize that. That should be a film. To then me going like that, right, don't jump from A to fucking Z.
Yeah, yeah.
Keep that as an idea down the line, right?
Yeah.
So then when I've been at work, I've been on my notepad, putting each chapter together.
Wow.
Could be when I'm on my break, when I'm on my dinner, when I'm walking around site, any notes that come to your head.
Yeah, yeah.
When I'm on the bus coming home from work, when I'm on the train going to see people. Or, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And then when I get home or I'm on my holidays off work, I'm on Microsoft Word typing it all up. And then when I've got it all boxed off, I'm then speaking to my mate, Ash Kirkman, who's a published author. And he taught me through the whole process of how to literally publish it on KDP, Amazon KDP. He literally helped me structure it all. And Joe Carter as well told me how to structure the book so that it's marketable and it will go through the process.
It's to be approved or something, doesn't it?
In order for it to be noticed and appealing, it needed artwork. Yeah. So I went to a local graphic design artist from Bolton called Nathan DeLuce. Now that lad, Don DeLuce, that lad has got artwork which is mind-blowing, very, very unseen and very, very underrated. I'll forward you his link.
Yeah, I'll put it on below.
And links to the other guys, to what they do. Because, you know, it's not just about me getting respect for what I do. I'm a great believer in props where they're due. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And it's like in the acknowledgement section of the book, I put a list of everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it gets a bit like an Oscar award-winning pitch towards the end.
Yeah.
But it's all there, you know?
Yeah.
So, if you want to get yourself a copy of that, it's amazon.co.uk, From the Streets to the Stage, paperback, Kindle Unlimited.
And is it your real name, publishing name,
full
name?
R.J. Stevenson.
Okay. Now, I didn't read the book before we did the podcast because I didn't want to know too much and just kind of spoil it, you know, but I am definitely going to check it out.
You see, this is the thing, right? Yeah. Because I'm not a published author.
Yeah.
Right. I've not got down. It's like I don't work for a label. I'm an independent artist and I'm classed as an indie author. Right.
Okay.
If I was to have gone down a label's route for music, I wouldn't be able to drop on the kind of material that I am.
Yeah.
It'd be very molded and restricted. If I was fortunate enough to go down the published route and have my book in, say, all the major bookstores, you would have to watch how you market.
Yeah.
That's what they do. It would have to be, it's advertised as one style, it stays as that style. You can't change it just to suit.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I'm here, I would have had to stick with it's just fiction.
Yeah.
And that's the story. If you want to know more, there you go. Go there.
Yeah.
To me, that's not real. It's kind of saying, like, you've advertised it as one thing, but then in the same respect, now you've got your opportunity to promote it. You're really being serious here. There's more to it than what there is, because obviously there's more to something than what there is. And when you read the story, you'll notice it from my first effort. It's not the most amazing in literal terms, but you'll see how I've incorporated my creative writing, how the rapper called Young Jimmy showcases his freestyle ability, and there's verses in it that I wrote, which is as if I'm him. Where he's covering certain situations.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And you've actually wrote something to a track that we're going to play in a separate clip to this, and we'll leave all the links below.
Well, let me just get down to that, before I end this, As I was writing the story, this is something that I've been working on for 10 years.
Wow.
Right. When I was running Insight, I came up with the original idea, with a group of young people, a couple of artists from Insight. And the original film was going to be called Drugs Will Get You Killed, because that's what it was originally going to be, a short film.
Oh, okay.
And it was going to, each actor in the film was going to be an artist from the project.
Yeah.
And as well as them acting, they were going to each make a soundtrack for the scenes that they were in.
Yeah.
And away from the film, we would have had, because it was originally going to be 12 scenes. 12 scenes, yeah?
Yeah.
And there'd be 12 different clips of music from 12 tracks.
Yeah.
Right? And it gets a bit technical, this, yeah? But of the tracks, the music would be full tracks covering each scene.
Right.
Once you listen to all the tracks together,
yeah.
it tells the whole story.
Paints a picture and you...
Yeah. But it's also promoting the artist. And it would have been a way of selling the music and promoting the artist.
Yeah.
But giving people who've not had a chance to see the film an insight into what it is.
Yeah.
And then to watch the film.
Yeah, well, you could even make a lot of the film based off the songs, couldn't you? And the
Years
lyrics
later, right? Obviously, we ended up closing the project down. It didn't get done for quite a few reasons. I ended up going on a media techniques course. And they said to me, it's too controversial for radio. And I was like, yes, thank you. They're like, why are you happy? They went, you know, if you were to go down the route of putting bloopers in where they swear, and I said, are you for real? You want me to go down that route? No, it's not
Comedy
happening.
route. No.
I'll find a way of getting this out.
Yeah.
Where I don't have to be told how it should be just to get accepted. It's going to be the way I want it to be. So years later, I started to pay more attention into other films, you know, the British drama films like Kidulthood, Adulthood, Brotherhood, Blue Story.
Yeah.
You know, all the British dramas about youth, gang culture, knife crime, drugs, trouble in the industry, gang culture issues, racism, sexual awareness, sexual exploitation. And I started to think, you know what? One day I'm going to make something like this.
Yeah.
And bit by bit, when I'd wrote the book and I'd gone through the process of learning about publishing it, and I've got it all out there, me being me, I was like, right, it's selling. You know, I'm getting a lot of positive reviews, a lot of good feedback. People are saying, man, just from chapter 1, I can see this as a film.
Yeah, that's excellent.
I posted a status the other day. One of my friends tagged me in a status. Netflix and Creative UK are offering 1.5 million to any would-be filmmakers. Okay?
Yeah.
Just to bring your idea to life.
Wow.
With or without experience. So straight away, as soon as I saw that, I was like, right, I've got this.
Yeah.
Only one thing is, my book's not a script yet.
Oh, okay. So you have to turn it into a script.
There again, don't try and jump from here to there.
Yeah.
Slow down. Research. Network. I contacted a few people. I put a status up. Just had some amazing news presented to me. And if this is approved, this could be extremely beneficial for a lot of people. So the question is, do I have any filmmakers, directors and producers on my friends list?
Yeah.
Within minutes, tagged loads of people, got quite a lot of inboxes.
Oh,
and when I spoke to a good friend of mine, I'm not going to mention his name in this because I've not got his consent to, but let's just say he's been involved in urban crime dramas in the past that have gone through the mainstream media. And I said to him, what do you think about this? Would you be involved? And he basically said, it's too much too soon. Right. Yeah. Because he'd already seen the application. Yeah. And he said, you need a team of 6, right? You need to have some experience. You need to have everything ready to go, because the idea of the £1.5 million is majorly appealing, isn't it? Right? But let's get real. When an application like that comes out, there's people out there who've been doing this all their lives.
Yeah.
And so what, somebody comes on the scene who's got this amazing film or this new story, there's people out there that can make something that I've done in a day and make a script in an hour.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? So for me to try and go, right, I've got the guys here who can help me, but I can't change what I've got in my whole story into a script with not having no experience, can I? And for the best part of about 2 days, mate, I was baffling with my own head thinking, I'm going to do this.
Mm.
You know what happened? Bit by bit again, I had a mental break.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've gone from, where am I at here? I want more from this. It's kind of like a drive. Yeah. This is being legit. When you've got a drive in you, you're either that way inclined, you know, where once you've actually achieved something, you've ticked it off the list. You can either go, right, I've done that now, I'm going to call it a day and just crack on and chill for the rest of my days, pipe and slippers time. Yeah. Or you can want to go that one step further and think, I just want to do this one more thing that'll ultimately help sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your creative brain as well, because I'm the same every time I make something and I reflect back on it. I'm like, oh, how can I make this again, but better? So
going back, let's just to recap, yeah. The original idea was to make a short film, right? Containing music and artists from the project that I was working at.
Yeah.
To make an album that would ultimately promote the film. Right? That was the idea. That was the idea back then. Fast forward years later, I wrote the book and I've wrote lyrics to a track.
Yeah.
And the next step after that will be the film. So you can kind of see how it's going full circle.
It's taking shape, definitely.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, all this has come from having the idea years ago.
Yeah.
And having the drive to do it. You know what I mean? And one thing that I've learned over the last year or two is to reach out and let people help you.
Yeah.
Because although you've got all the creative drive and you've got everything, there's only so much you can do. And if you continue doing it when you've got your family, you've got work, you've got life, you've got everything else, you just, forgive the expression, you run up your own ass too quick and you get nowhere fast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, burn yourself out again, like we were saying before.
Yeah. So, if it's all right, what I want to do is, I was on YouTube last week.
Yeah.
Searching for an instrumental.
Okay. To
go with the lyrics that I've wrote.
Yeah.
The Young Jimmy track.
Yeah.
Now, this kind of a storyteller style was inspired by a guy called Rapman. I'm gathering a lot of people know who that is if they've seen the film Blue Story.
Yeah.
You know, his style blew my mind. You know, he's real talk. You know, he's a director. I'd say as inspirations go, he's a strong, big inspiration to where I'm going with what I'm doing.
Yeah, and it was kind of positive, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There was a moral to that story. It wasn't just...
He'd been there, he'd lived it, he'd seen it, he'd breathed it, and he was able to focus on a specific character. They were called Shiro. Shiro, his story, big, powerful drama-style tracks, storyteller tracks that are on YouTube. And then when he made the Blue Story track, I kept thinking to myself, man, this is inspiring, you know? So
did he make the track before the film as well?
He did the rapping.
Right, okay. Yeah.
It was actually Jamal Edwards from SBTV, RIP. Jamal Edwards, who recently passed away. Such an amazing character, such an amazing guy, an entrepreneur, so selfless with everything that he did, always reaching out and pushing new talent, giving them the platform to showcase what they do.
Yeah.
You know, helping people like Ed Sheeran, helping Invasion Alert, Why Better Know, grime artists, rappers, you name it, mate. A lot of the UK scene have literally come where they are now because of this guy. But Rapman went to Jamal Edwards and told him he's got this storyteller style. And he said to him, I believe that it'll work. Yeah. Because it's something different. You know what I mean? And I've only been learning this through following these guys on Instagram and social media.
Yeah.
But like I say, I MC normally to a faster pace of music.
Yeah.
D&B, hardcore. I've MC'd to bounce in the past, and that's one thing, right?
Yeah.
But for me to slow it down now and try and go on the hip-hop scene to cover the character,
it's
kind of similar to Blue Story Rap Man.
Yeah.
But I'm not copying him. Yeah. Now, when I was on YouTube last week, I found a beat by a producer called Spills Productions. Yeah. Spills with a Z. Now, it states in his terms and conditions, anybody who wants to put anything out has to contact him for a release.
Yeah.
To message him on Instagram.
Yeah.
Or YouTube. Now, I've tried to message him just to let him know that this is not for profit, and it states on his page, you can use this for not for profit for free.
Yeah.
Right? I've stated that all I want to do is show my lyrics, just a 16 bar over this track. Yeah. And obviously give props where they're concerned.
Yeah.
So that being said, he's not got back to me yet.
Okay, yeah.
And looking at his social media, he very rarely replies anywhere. You know what I mean? There's no link to a website where you can buy or lease. So it's like, what I'm trying to do is I'm literally putting this out now, so that when I show this to people, you can get the vibe of where I'm going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure once it gets enough traction, which it will, he'll reach out to you then.
And ultimately, if anybody out there, other than Spills Productions, so this is your opportunity to get back at me, brother. Yeah. Young lad there, yo. Serious. If anybody out there would like to work with me on this, I've already got a few people in mind.
Yeah.
But I'm always willing to work with others. Get in touch.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll say, moving on from that, then if they click the links down below, I'll put a little annotation into it. Because we talked about it before the podcast, didn't we? And I was a little bit worried about copyright issues, especially with it being on Spotify and Apple and YouTube and all the other platforms now. And I just want to make sure that the episodes aren't took down for any reason. So I will leave links. And if you are listening to this, like I say, on the podcasting apps, you can go over to my YouTube channel at i.e/media and search for the Robbie MC track and you will find it. Yeah, so would you like to finish up on anything? And before we get into recording your bars for this track, anything you'd like to say out there to like the young youth getting involved with music? Or
Yeah, I'd just like to say, right, massive thank you to yourself for this interview.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming. To see where you're at now, to see from when you was young and hungry, that you've kept your focus and your drive and you've planned and you've worked at it to now you're achieving. I want to say that people can look at you like an inspiration.
Oh, thanks, man.
Because what I'm getting at here now is you might be young, you might have an idea, you might get misdirected in life, you might go down the wrong track, yeah? But what it's about is you realising and having a deep look inside yourself as to what you want to do.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Life gets in the way. There are alternatives for you to not go down the wrong track, for you to not make bad decisions, for you to not get involved with situations and people, make the choices where actions will have consequences, where you can avoid going to prison, you can avoid being another statistic on, another stain on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
There's options. Life goes on if you're willing to find what you want to do and work at it. If you want to be a rapper, you want to be an MC, work on your craft. Know what you're trying to represent.
Yeah.
Work at it. Yeah. Find a place where you can become part of, where it'll keep you off the streets. Yeah. And ultimately engaging in something positive, whether it be sports, whether it be music, whether it be education. Keep your head down and keep your head up. You know what I'm saying? That's not trying to be like a contradiction. It's keep your head down, out of trouble, but also keep your head up, as in looking towards the future, keeping positive.
Have some goals.
Have goals, man. Yeah. And you may hit points in life where you try to chase something and it doesn't work out. Life is about lessons. If things don't work out, don't look at it like you failed. There's no such thing as failure, apart from when you stop.
Then, You
get me? If you continue to keep trying, you will eventually find something that's right for you.
Yeah.
You'll find where you're meant to be. I'm still yet to find where I'm meant to be, right?
You're on a journey though, aren't you? And it's forever evolving. And
one thing that I'm saying is, from being an MC in the club scene to working in the community sector to working with charities
to having a book
to writing a book, that kind of recaps everything from a behind the scenes perspective. To have learned that and done that is one thing, but my next goal is to make a music video for the book.
Yeah.
With the ultimate aim of making a film about the book.
Yeah. And you'll do it, mate. I know you will, because you're dedicated.
So that being said, you know, that's my goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not been easy. As we've discussed in this interview, in this podcast, you know, I've never felt that I should be closed off about what I'm doing. One thing that somebody once said to me is, you're more open than a book. Yeah. And you'll talk a glass eyeball to sleep. Right. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Just be yourself and do what you like doing. If you love doing something, keep at it.
Yeah. Excellent. Wise words, Robbie, honestly. And I want to thank you personally for all the help that you've gave to the young ones out there. You've probably saved a few lives and you don't even realise it, mate. Honestly, thank you, and really do commend you for what you've done. And I will leave all the links below for Robbie's music and for his other projects, and especially his book, and a link to the track that he's about to perform as I end this video and we go into another take. So, yeah, thank you, brother.
Mate, it's been an absolute honour and nothing but respect. Big up Elusive Exposure Media.